Welcome to the Boss Bar, brought to you by Boss Up Magazine. The Boss Bar is the official podcast for emerging entrepreneurs and successful business owners. Tune in each and every Thursday for an intimate conversation with the boss behind the business. Want to learn more about our guest? Simply go to bossupmag.org. I am your host, Destiny, and we have an amazing show lined up for you today. But first, a word from our sponsor. Hey bosses, are you interested in promoting your business on a global scale? Do you need help to formulate a strategic message for your clients? Would you like to possibly have your products and services showcased in print, digital, television, or perhaps even this podcast? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you should definitely consider advertising with Boss Up Magazine. Boss Up Magazine is the official place where bosses make power moves. We offer affordable solutions that empower businesses to level up by promoting their brand on a higher scale. Don't delay. Contact us now at info@bossupmag.org to make your boss move today. That's info@bossupmag.org. And now, back to the show. Today on the Boss Bar podcast, we are talking about getting out of your head and being solution driven. Today on the show, we are joined by Chiko Abengowe, and Chiko is a motivational speaker, investor, and the founder and CEO of Perfect Staffing Solutions and also Perfect Office Solutions. Now, these are multi-million-dollar companies that aim to take the stress out of both the hiring process and also offer a professional office space for business owners. Some topics we discuss on the show are how he quit his $35,000 a year job to start his own staffing firm with only $1,000 saved, the importance of delegating tasks to others, tips to keep you encouraged on your journey of entrepreneurship, and we even tackle a few of your listener letters. Stay tuned! It's time for the Boss Move of the Week. Here at the Boss Bar podcast, we're all about supporting entrepreneurs and community activists every step of the way. If you would like to nominate someone for Boss of the Week, send us an email at bossbarpod@gmail.com. Today's Boss Move of the Week actually comes from the founder and CEO of Boss Up Magazine, Twanita Dozier. I want to give a huge shout out to her for finally getting her Roku channel up off the ground. She started a show called The Boss Lounge, which is basically a visual podcast in a sense where she highlights entrepreneurs and the things that they've been doing, and she finally got it approved and published on Roku, which is major for her and for the businesses that she represents, because now she's able to spotlight them in many different other avenues. So kudos to you, Twanita. Like, I know it was a really big struggle for you to get everything uploaded and get everything approved, but wow, that's amazing. Not many people can say, hey, check me out on Roku, download my Roku channel. That's really, really awesome. So kudos to you for just hanging in there and doing the hard work and taking the steps that it took to make your dream a reality. And now let's get into the conversation between the bosses. Hey guys, welcome to the Boss Bar podcast, where we introduce you to the boss behind the business. Today on the show, I'm interviewing Chiko Abengowe, who is a Bill Gates scholar who graduated in 2008 with honors in healthcare and business administration. So he worked in healthcare recruiting and human resources management for 4 years before he decided to quit his job at the age of 26 with only $1,000 in his account. 2 days later, he decided to start his own staffing firm, Perfect Staffing Solutions, LLC. Today, Perfect Staffing Solutions is a multi-million-dollar revenue-generating company with over 50 employees. Along the way in his journey, he noticed how entrepreneurship had positively changed his life, so he made a commitment to help spread entrepreneurship amongst his community by offering affordable and professional office space solutions. Today, he has 7 locations with over 400 private offices and 600 entrepreneurs that call Perfect Office LLC home. Welcome to the show, Chiko.
Hey. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you. I think I mentioned I'm really been focusing on kind of making the show more diverse with both male and female entrepreneurs. So I really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I know your offices are based in Laurel, Maryland, and that's kind of like somewhere between D.C. and Baltimore where I'm at. So I have to ask you, are you a Redskins or Ravens fan?
Which one is paying me? The one that's paying me is the one that I'm a fan of. It's none of them are paying me right now. I spend very little time focused on those. But no, we actually have offices, 7 different locations: Columbia, Laurel, Beltsville, Riverdale, Lanham, Fort Washington, and we just recently launched in Silver Spring. So we're all over, and we're coming to Baltimore soon too as well.
Oh, that's really, really dope. So before we get into your business, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your background, kind of like where you're from, what school you went to, different things like that?
Yes, I can do that. I was born originally actually in Nigeria. Came here when I was younger, and I've been in the U.S. pretty much since the age of 7. Graduated high school with, like you mentioned, with the Bill Gates scholarship, and went to Towson University on the honors program, and graduated from Towson with a bachelor's in science and a minor in business.
That's cool. What made you want to study that specifically?
Well, actually, I actually wanted to be a doctor, a pediatrician. But after my first, after my first year in college, I realized that wasn't the route that I wanted to go. That I was actually more interested in owning a practice, more so than I was in being a practitioner. And that's when I made the switch.
Okay. Now let's talk about, you graduated, you were working in a job. What actually made you say, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to start my own staffing agency, which is somewhat different from what you have been studying in school, right?
A little bit similar in terms of, I was a healthcare recruiter, and I studied healthcare management and business. But what made me switch is because I felt like I was lied to. I felt like society lied to me. Society told me to go to school, get good grades, graduate, and then get a good job, and you would be happy. So I came to that point, and I wasn't happy. So, and around that time, I was studying entrepreneurship and looking at the lives of those that I was inspired by, and I just felt like they were living to their full potential, their God-given potential, and I just felt like I had more in me that wasn't coming out in a regular 9 to 5. So that's when I decided to make that switch to entrepreneurship. But before I made that switch, I started to get some things in order, like my finances, so that I could put myself in a position to be able to do that.
What was that experience like? Like, did everybody around you, were they like, oh, you're crazy, quitting your job to do this? Like, this was back in 2013 you did this?
Right. So this was back in December 2012. So I actually quit my job December 3rd, 2012, and then 2 days later started a business. But yeah, everybody, including my mom, my brothers, my friends, everybody thought I was crazy. Just like, most people think entrepreneurs are crazy. And in a way, we are kind of crazy because we're willing to take risk. And it doesn't make sense for most people who are looking at the situation at the current time. But of course, now looking back, most people that thought I was crazy are thinking I'm a genius now. Right. So, yeah, no, most people thought I was crazy.
Yeah, that typically, I think, happens a lot. I think entrepreneurs, a lot of times, we're dreamers. Like, we see things that other people don't see, and that's why usually entrepreneurs do end up being people that were leaders or managers or recruiters in their past positions when they worked for somebody, because they were the people that laid out the vision for the company or group. So that's really, really great that, you took that first step. What were some things that you had to put in place before doing that?
Right. So I was a recruiter at a staffing agency, and one of the things that I knew I always wanted to start a business, but I didn't know what type of business I wanted to start. So I'm glad I started thinking in the form of start with what you know. So what I did was, since I was already working at a job, I decided to get really, really good at the job that I was doing. And from there, I just kind of developed a passion for wanting to start a recruiting company as a business, as my first business. So I did that, and it was of course, entrepreneurship is hard, but it was easier because I had already experienced it for about 2 to 4 years. For 4 years, I was a recruiter / human resources manager. So I had experienced that industry for about 4 years, and I was confident enough to go ahead and jump out and start my own thing at the age of 26.
Wow. So you basically used kind of like the resources that you had at hand in your day job to set you up for what you wanted to do, what your dream was.
Correct. So, experience-wise, my day job gave me the experience. Now, financial-wise, what I started doing is just like, cutting down on my expenses and being a little bit more smart with my money, and started to create other forms of income outside of my job, so that when I left my job, I can still support my monthly expenses without having to go quickly find another job. So what I wanted to do was create enough passive income on the side so that way I could just focus on my business when I did start it. Because when you start a business, you're not making money out of the gate, It's very rare that you're making money out of the gate. And sometimes it takes time. And I didn't know exactly how long that was going to take. So that was why I really focused on trying to establish some forms of income outside of my job. So I did Airbnb, I did tutoring, I invested in the stock market, so I was doing that too as well.
Oh, you were out here hustling.
Oh, of course, that's the name of the game. You gotta hustle. That shows you really want it. You're not hustling, you don't want it.
Yeah. So, moving kind of more into your business side of things, can you tell me a little bit more about Perfect Office Solutions, LLC, and what the community is that you serve?
Yeah, so before Perfect Office Solutions, I actually started a staffing company called Perfect Staffing, and basically that was the springboard to a lot of the different things that I do now, because when I was starting that company, I had a really hard time finding affordable office spaces. So when I had built that company to $1 million company, so 2 years in, I had built it to $1 million company and about 30 employees. I decided that I wanted to start another business that was going to cater more to the entrepreneurship or to entrepreneurs. And that's where I was like, you know what? One of the challenges that I had when trying to start my first business, one of the biggest challenges I had was affordable office space, and office space not being flexible or professional. So I decided that I was going to start an office-based company called Perfect Office, and that's how that started in 2014. And since then, we've grown it to 7 different locations, over 400 private offices, and over 600 entrepreneurs that call Perfect Office home. And then just recently, about 2 months ago, I started a property management company called Perfect Properties. And what we're looking to do there is just like, manage properties for investors or manage properties for individuals that don't have time or the resources to manage their property effectively and efficiently. So, yeah, that's what we're doing.
I actually really like that idea and like your whole Perfect Office and Perfect Property Management brand. It's kind of like you saw a need and you filled it for people, like the people that are, they have these businesses, they have these properties, but they can't manage it. Here we are. Or you have a business and you can't find a spot to actually house your business, but you want to feel like you're legitimate. You want to give it some legitimacy. Here we are. Like, that's really the crux of being an entrepreneur, is figuring out what do people need and how you can provide it. So kudos to you. That's really cool.
Thank you. That's what entrepreneurship is. It's basically just finding a problem that people have and then finding a solution to that problem and then getting paid for it. Simple as that.
Yeah. So what is kind of like the demographics or the breakdown of some of the people that rent from you in your office space?
I think the really cool thing about what we're doing with Perfect Office is that we actually touch across all spectrums of people, race, female, male, and that's the really cool part about it, because entrepreneurs come from different backgrounds, have different experiences, and have all different types of looks. You know what I'm saying? So, our demographics is very, very diverse, very, very diverse, I would say. But it's just individuals looking to either start their business, or individuals that already have a business that they've been running for many years, but they just need a professional space instead of working out of their home. Or individuals that want to downsize in terms of they had a big office, but they want to downsize to something a little bit smaller, because technology has made it possible where you don't need a million different equipments to be able to operate a business. You just, need a couple different things, and you don't need to spend that much for office space anymore.
Now, what types of businesses do you have that rent from you?
All types of businesses. So we have anywhere from your accounting firms, your healthcare companies, your lawyers, your makeup artists. I mean, it just any and everything. Your just anything really. Your mental health organizations, your financial companies, your tech companies. I mean, we have everything you can pretty much imagine.
That's really cool. Now, can you tell me some of the hurdles that you faced and how did you overcome them?
I mean, some of the hurdles that we face as an organization, or let me just focus on maybe some of the hurdles that I faced as an entrepreneur. So I would say one of the hurdles that you will face as an entrepreneur is that a lot of times people don't understand you or understand what you're trying to get accomplished. And then sometimes when they do understand, they don't believe you could do it. So it's you have to make sure that you know exactly where you're headed, and you have to make sure that you're constantly in a positive state of mind, because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of distractions, there's a lot of people around you that don't necessarily believe or are on the same wavelength as you are. And you can't focus on that. You can't try to convince them as to why they don't understand what you understand or why they don't believe in you. You just got to understand what you're going after and then just go after it.
Yeah, definitely. I think you have to believe in yourself first, right?
Correct, of course. If you don't believe in yourself, that's where it starts. Nothing else is going to happen.
Yeah. Let's get into the numbers. Tell me, now you said that you started saving money to start your own business before you ended up quitting the job that you had. Did you have any outside funding at all, or was this all you saving your own capital?
No. How do I put this? I don't like saving money. Actually, I don't believe people should save money. So I didn't save any money. What I actually did was I took the money that I was making and used it to create things that paid me on a residual basis. So, but when I quit my job, I actually only had $1,000 in my bank account when I quit my job. But I had created residual forms of income that were paying me. For example, my Airbnb, I had a condo, and I was putting on Airbnb. I was making about $3,000 a month from that condo, and then pay the mortgage and other expenses. That was about $1,000. So I was netting out $2,000 a month from that situation. Then I was also tutoring on a platform called Wise Ants that I was charging about $50 an hour to tutor economics, accounting, and such. And I was doing that about 10 hours a week. So I was making $500 a week doing that. And then in investing in the stock market, my goal at that time was just to make an extra $1,000 a month. So all those forms of income, that's what I was doing. So I didn't really have savings. I was just kind of using extra money that I had to try to feed or find ways to make residual income. So that answer that question in terms of did I have savings? I mean, I guess you can consider $1,000 something saved up, but most people would not consider that enough to start a business. So that's that. I guess that's the answer to that question. But no, it was all my money when I started the staffing company, and then once the staffing company, so the first year in the staffing company, I focused really much so on cold calling and sales and a whole bunch of phone calls, maybe like close to 100 phone calls a day, and was able to get some business. And that first year we did $400,000 in business, and the next year we did $800,000 in business. And then the following year we did 1.2, and that's when I had started Perfect Office. So I borrowed
1.2. Wait, 1.2 what?
1.2 million.
$1.2 million?
Correct.
Oh, you said that so casually. Oh, just 1.2.
It's just number. It's just number. That's all it is. Yeah. So because sometimes we're afraid of numbers, and when you're afraid of a number, you're not going to get close to it. So you gotta get used to hearing numbers, seeing numbers, writing down numbers, because then if you can familiarize yourself with those numbers, it's a lot easily attainable with the work, of course. But yeah, so once we did that, I took about $10,000 from Perfect Staffing, used it to invest in starting Perfect Office. And that was pretty much that. So all the companies that I've started, I've used has been self-funded from the business previously.
Now, where did you get this idea of it's almost like you started, it's not a debt snowball, but I guess a funding snowball in a sense, where one project funds the other. Where did you get that idea from?
I didn't have the idea. So, and that's one thing I always encourage entrepreneurs to do. Start with what you know and start with what the idea that you have now, because you never know where it will lead to. So if I never started Perfect Staffing, I would have never, ever started Perfect Office, because it was through the experiences that I had at Perfect Staffing that alluded me to, hey, you know what? Entrepreneurs need this problem solved. And it's all about focusing on, if you're an entrepreneur, it's focusing on identifying problems, solving them, and getting paid for it. So I keep it that simple. So if there's people walk around every single day complaining about something, if you can just listen to their complaints, write it down, find a solution to it, you'll be a millionaire.
Oh, you just gave out some really good gems right there.
Yeah, that's it. So I didn't have all this set up, but along the way, yes, you start getting ideas. So after I started Perfect Staffing, and even with the name, like I didn't know I was going to call it Perfect Office, but I was like, you know what, I need to create something that is affordable, flexible, and professional. And then I was just talking to myself. I was like, man, if something like that was to exist, that would be a perfect office solution. And then I was like, bam, that's the name.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sometimes those things, that inspiration just comes to you, and you're like, what?
Right. And it's crazy now because Perfect Office has just taken off in a really, really good way. That it's starting by the end of this year to be the largest organization that I run in terms of revenue.
If networking with people headed to the top is something you enjoy, the Cupcakes and Conversation Tour is an event you do not want to miss. Meet us in Wilmington, Delaware on July 20th, where we will be sharing the ins and outs of being a boss with people making major boss moves. This event will have cupcakes, mimosas, guest speakers, and more. Go to www.bossupmag.org to get your tickets today. That's www.bossupmag.org. How do you handle running so many different business entities and managing each one differently? I know they're all somewhat intertwined, but how do you manage them all and just make sure everything kind of goes in the way that it should?
Definitely, I'm still trying to figure that out. Honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out. Half the time I come in here, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? No, that's something I'm still trying to figure out. What I just focus on doing is doing what I know I can do best, and then, of course, delegating through employees that you have to pay certain tasks to help along with the overall mission. So, obviously, you have employees that do certain specific things that help me with doing what I do, and which overall helps the organization move forward. So it's, the way I look at it is every time I need help or need something done, I try to figure out a way I can increase revenue enough to be able to hire an employee to take care of that. And that's just kind of how I've kind of built my business. So, so right now we have about 50 employees. Most of them on the staffing side, which is, a company that we basically place staff for different organizations that need staffing. And then on the office side, we have about, 20 employees that work there. And then on the property management side, which we just started, we just have one employee, our property manager, that does that. But, yeah, just try to divide my time maybe not equally, but I just try to divide my time as to where I'm needed. Usually I start very early in the morning, 6 a.m. to about 12. I'm doing perfect staffing, and then 12 to 6 I'm doing perfect office, and then, from 6 to 9 I was just doing new projects or other things or networking or reading and getting myself prepared for the next day.
It's funny because I was reading some article somewhere that talked about how millionaires wake up very, very early in the morning to get their day started, just because it's just so much to do during the day. And then another thing I thought about that you talked about was just the importance of delegating. Sometimes we just think that we can do it all, and just because you have the vision doesn't mean that you have to be the person to execute it,
Correct.
Yeah, so the more you can dole out those tasks to other people, and you trust that they can do it, the better for you.
Right, because think about it this way. Most people think we only have, actually, it is true. We do have 24, individually, we have 24 hours in a day, okay? But you can actually have more than 24 hours in a day, right? And the way you make that happen is hire people. If you hire 10 people, right? 24 times 10, what's that? Now you have 240 hours in one day. Now think about this. If you hire 100 employees, you now have 2,400 hours in one day. So you're way ahead of somebody that's just putting in 8 hours a day at work. You get what I'm saying? By just putting yourself in a position to be able to hire individuals and get more time put into the passion project or the project that you're working on. So I think that's how entrepreneurs most of the time and business owners maximize their time. But when you're not in that space to be able to do that, the best way to do that is wake up early, put a little bit more time, because most of the time, most of the day, people are just kind of, I would say wasting. You got 8 hours of work.
Very true.
And then 3 hours of TV here, 2 hours of social media here, 1 hour of gossip, and then and then other stuff like that. But it's just about maximizing your time.
I've realized, just thinking about time, that the more and more you get focused on your goals and like really have that laser sharp vision and focus for what you want to do and what your purpose is, you really do not have time. Like you said, like I asked you at the beginning about football, you do not have time for football or gossip or what are the Real Housewives doing or anything, because you have to get this stuff done. I don't have time to hear about that. Sorry.
Right. And it's not that you're being, bougie or anything like that, but it's just that you're now your mindset starts to change a little bit, and you start to focus on value added. So if something is not adding value to me or adding value towards my dream, like I am not wasting time with it. So that goes with an individual, that goes with a TV show, that goes with a lot of different things. If it's not adding value to your life, the best thing to do is just disconnect from it and focus on the things that add value to your life. And when you end up spending more time with the things that add value to your life, you start to see growth, and then that growth becomes addicting, and you start to spend even more time with those things that add value in your life. So it's kind of how it works.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Tell me, what is your why? What makes you get up every morning extra early and just do things? What is it that makes you want to have that drive?
The why is, I've discovered what the greatest secret in the world is. You want to know what that is?
Yes, please tell me.
I discovered that the greatest secret in the world is you. Like, God created us to be great individuals, great people, and we have greatness inside of us. So if God created us to be great, then I need to discover my greatness, and I don't feel like I'm there yet. You know what I mean? So, so that's what I wake up every morning trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out how hard can I go? You know what I'm saying? How many people can I impact? How many people can I hire? How can I be more efficient? How can I be? I'm just going for my greatness right now, and my vehicle just happens to be entrepreneurship, because any of us can go for greatness in whatever vehicle that we've chosen. Whether it's a job, whether it's being a lawyer, whether it's being a doctor, whether it's being an astronaut or a tech junkie, whatever it is. But for me, I've discovered that my vehicle towards greatness is entrepreneurship. I love it. I sleep and breathe it, and I could talk about it all day long.
That means that's your purpose. That's what you were sent here to do.
I guess so.
What is something that inspires you?
What inspires me?
Something or someone, a person.
I try to find inspiration in a lot of different things, but things that are different inspires me, and it could be just, it could be, it's just weird, like things that are like different. I'm inspired by that because
kind of out of the box things.
Yeah, it's out of the box. There's something different, and it could be something as simple as a cup that's designed a different way. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it just makes me just think a little bit deeper. Like, why was that cup designed that way? Like, who thought about that idea? Or like, maybe I should step outside of the box and start thinking about my business in a different way. Like, how much more impact can I make? But no, I'm inspired by things, individuals on a daily basis. I try to find inspiration through anything because in the mornings, usually when I wake up pretty early, and I jazz myself up. I get all motivated because during the day, trust me, you're gonna come up. Yeah, you're gonna come across a lot of negative situations and a lot of negative people. So if you don't have enough I guess, fuel in your tank, you're not going to be able to move forward because you're going to run out by the time it's like, some people run out of gas by the time it's like 10 a.m. in the morning, and they're like, I'm drained. Oh, no, but I'll wake up early in the morning, fill myself up full so that by the time I get through the day, I still got some more left, and then I fill up some more at night, and fill up some more in the morning, and keep it going. I stay positive. You know what I mean?
Can you tell me what is the best piece of advice that you've received thus far in your career?
I don't know. It's probably a million of them, I'm sure. But I would say the best thing that I probably did was to start. You know, now some people could take that as start young, start now or whatever. But the thing is, just start. I think that's the best advice that I told myself, because even when I was 26 years old, most of my friends, they were getting into their careers, they were making a lot more money and things like that. But that was the same time I decided to quit, because the thing is, along the way when you start, but first of all, you got to make the decision to start. Along the way, there's a lot of things that you're going to figure out that's going to help elevate you and help you get to the next level. But you got to start. A lot of people, they just get, I call it knowledge constipation, which is they acquire so much knowledge that leaves them at a point where they're not taking any action. But the most important thing is just start. Just start. The rest will come to play. The rest, you will figure it out. I know so much more now, 1,000 times more now than when I decided that I wanted to start a business. Like, everything that I thought then before I started a business, 90% of it was probably all wrong. And 90% of it I probably don't know. But I would have never known that if I didn't start. So my best advice for people is, you're listening to this podcast, you've been thinking about starting a business, just start. Just start. I mean, I was about to cuss there. I don't cuss. But just start the business. Just start the business. I can't stress it enough.
Do it.
I wish I could just jump out of, whatever situation people are listening to this. Just start. You don't understand how important it is to just start. That's the only advice I have.
Yeah, my dad always told me the journey of 1,000 miles, it always starts with one step. So no matter what you do, you can't let your limitations hold you down. You got to figure out a way to get around it and make it happen. And along the way, you'll figure out how to fix it and how to make it right. But like you said, you have to start. You have to start from somewhere. If you don't start,
right.
You just don't have anything at all. It's just an idea, a thought in your head that you never actually tried to do.
Exactly. The first thing is you have to know what you want to do. Second is you got to start, because once you know and you start, whatever challenges that come, because you know what you want to do, you figure out how to, get across that challenge, because, people find different ways to overcome a challenge. Now, if you have a roadblock, some people will jump over it, some people will go around it, and some people will go through it. It doesn't matter how you get around it. The most important thing is that you do get around it. Yeah.
Now, this is a moment for you to toot your own horn, but can you tell me what has been your most proud moment thus far, just with all the things you've done? When is a moment that, you can look back in your mind and go back and say, man, I'm glad I started because this made everything worth it?
That moment is yet to come, but
oh gosh, you're one of those.
No, I am one of those. Yes, I mean, I have a couple different moments like that, but I think the moment where I'm young, I'm 13 or 14 years old. My dad just passed away. My mom is a single mom, making minimum wage. And raising 5 kids, and we're going through a situation where lights are being cut off, and we're using candles in order to be able to see and do our homework. Water, we didn't have hot water, so we're taking cold showers. We didn't have enough food, so we're going to school just for breakfast and lunch. because those, at least we can only depend on mom for dinner. So moments like that, and me going through that, and our family going through that, and me just making the decision at that point that I never want to be in a situation like this again. I wanted to do whatever it took for me to be successful financially first, so that way, financially, I didn't have to. We didn't have to resort to situations like that. I think that was the first initial push, which made me change my mindset about even how I thought about school. Because I never really liked school or enjoyed school, but I saw it as a way for me to discipline myself. So I started with that and disciplined myself, and I said, you know what? What's the highest grade you can get here? A, right? So I said, you know what? I'm going to have straight A's. And I had straight A's, and I had a 4.0 16 semesters in a row.
Wow.
So it's just about, and so it's just about making it. Life is all about a decision. You make a decision and you back it up with the action. So that's what I think. That was one of the moments that kind of led to that. And then even after that, because at that moment I was thinking, go to school, get good grades, graduate, and get a good job. When I did that, and I put sweat and tears into to just do that. Most people do, and this is what happens to most people. They get to that point, they're like, dang, I was lied to. This is actually just an average lifestyle. So most people, once they realize that go to school, get good grades, graduate, and get a good job, once they realize that's actually not how to be really, really successful, most people give up. It's also in life, when you find out something or you get to a point where you were wrong, okay, take it for what it is. Change it up, and then now be willing to step up your work ethic and be willing to do what it takes to get to the next level. Yeah.
But I know you're trying to be extra humble and everything, but I do really want to know, how did it feel when you look back at your year, your revenue, and you were like, wow, I really just pulled in $1 million. Like, what was that feeling like?
Yeah. I mean, I think before you get to that point, it's one of those moments that are just kind of dramatized. But actually, when it happened, I didn't even really realize it, until I actually looked at the numbers and went over it. But I was so entrenched in the work that we were doing and the services that we were providing that it kind of crossed me. But then, when but I mean, I wasn't like, hey, okay, I celebrated it, but I'm just saying, I didn't realize it exactly when it happened. And at the same time, I look back now, this past year we did, across the two companies, we did close to $5 million of revenue. You get what I'm saying? So it's crazy. Just to think 6.5 years ago, I was making $35,000 at my job. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, a lot of times, most of us, we limit ourselves, and that's why I always tell people, chase your greatness, because you don't know what that is. My business plan for my business, I only had $250,000 for my business plan after 3 years of business. But in the first year, I did $400,000 in business. So a lot of times in life, we're limiting ourselves. All of us are doing it. Even I'm doing this now. I mean, why am I doing $5 million in revenue? I should be doing 50 or 100.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I listen to Les Brown a lot, and one thing, I found a new podcast of his this morning on Spotify, and I was so excited because I usually only can find 2 episodes of his, but I found a new one, and he was saying that one of the big reasons why people don't excel in life is that they have low expectations, or they aim low at life, aim low at things, and they stick. They land that shot. So you're shooting for something. Oh, I just want to, as long as I can make $100,000 a year or $60,000 a year, I'll be okay. And they get that, and they're fine. They tell themselves they're fine. You know what I mean? But you really should want more for yourself. So definitely, that's important.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely.
What's the vision, and what do you see kind of for your brands in the next 5 years?
I mean, I see us continue to offer and provide valuable services that are needed by individuals that we service. And and at the same time just continuing to grow that to 10 million, 25 million, 50 million, 100 million, and so on. But the vision is to never stop providing value. So I'm going to keep providing value until the day I die.
That's wonderful. Hey, we've been talking to Chiko from Perfect Office Solutions about how he became a boss in the staffing and office industry. After the break, Chiko and I will share some helpful resources to help you build your business, and we'll get into our listener letters in the Ask a Boss segment. Stay tuned. The Boss Bar podcast will be right back after these messages. Hey, bosses. I want to talk to you about a new accessories brand called Covenant One Creations. Covenant One Creations is based in Detroit, Michigan, and is the best place to get your summer gear. With a variety of unique options from hats and phone cases to t-shirts and hoodies, Covenant One Creations has got you covered. Go to www.covenantonecreations.com and enter offer code BOSSBAR10 at checkout for 10% off your order. What are you waiting for? Go to www.covenantonecreations.com today. Hey guys, it's time for Boss Tools, the segment in our show where we share helpful tips that you can use in your business. If you have a tool that you think our listeners would benefit from, send a message to bossbarpod@gmail.com. Now, my tool actually comes from one of our partners, Sebeka Services. It's a company that helps online-based businesses manage their day-to-day tasks with ease. And I was just scrolling on her page, and I saw that she had wrote up this whole template of how to set up standard operating procedures for your business. Standard operating procedures, or SOPs, they basically eliminate the pain of reinventing the wheel each time you or a team member needs to do a task. So these are things like data entry, sending out a weekly email blast, if you have an online store, different maintenance protocols. So instead of having to reinvent the wheel or do the same thing or explain yourself so many times, you're putting all these things into practice and writing out the step-by-step procedures for it. I started doing this by just creating a simple version with my podcast where I made a template for, how the show will go, a template for outreach emails, and also forms that would be ready to go when I needed it. So instead of having to recreate a new form or email or completely having to think about, okay, how do I want the show to go, I just have something that I can go to right away. And the step-by-step process of setting up an SOP is extremely simple. Step one, you start by writing out the start-to-finish steps, and you establish that as the standard way that you want everybody to do it. The easiest way to do this is to do it as you are doing the task. So either you're doing it or you're having the employee that's working for you write out those tasks as they go. Establish them as the start-to-finish steps, kind of like as the standard, and save it and use it. You may write it out and post it different places. Sebeka recommends that you save it on Google Drive or Dropbox just so that, if you lose the paper or something like that, you always have, it out for you to be able to get to and use. So standard operating procedures, very simple. It's just a start-to-finish, step-by-step way to get different things done in your business, and I really think it's something that could help just even when you're starting off or whatever level of business that you're at. What about you? Do you have a business tip or tool you'd like to share?
Sure. So what I would, the business tip or tool that I would like to suggest is Wave Accounting. So it's an online accounting platform that I utilize for all three of my businesses, and it just kind of helps me to be able to keep track of the numbers, which is the money. This platform is free. And can be found at Wave, that's WAVE, apps.com. So you can invoice your clients on this platform, and it would automatically remind your clients after 7, 14, and 3 days if they still owe the invoice. So it keeps track of all your invoices, keeps track of your revenues, your expenses, automatically links it to your bank account and connects everything so you can do accounting very smoothly. So normally what I do, I just kind of keep an eye on that and make sure everything is done, and end of the year just give my income statement to my tax accountant, and then it makes it easy for him or her to be able to kind of do what they do best. But Waze Accounting, I'm using it from day one. I'm excited about it, and I think it would be a great tool for entrepreneurs to be able to take advantage of if they don't know it about it.
Yeah, I actually heard about that. When I was looking at Sebecca's page, I saw the Waze Accounting as well. And I think you can actually just snap pictures of your receipts, and it'll go right to the program, right?
Yep. So
that's
there's a lot of different.
Cool.
There's a lot of different services that they provide under that, under that banner. But I specifically just use it for invoicing, payroll, accounting, and tracking revenue and past sales. And I can always go back like 3 years from now and know exactly what type of revenue and expenses that I had for a specific month, date, time, whatever.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful because you got to keep up with your numbers and everything like that. You don't want to get in trouble with the IRS. You built this great company, and now they come knocking at your door.
They're coming after you, especially when you start making money. They want theirs too.
Yeah. So now we're going to move into the Ask the Boss segment. And if you have a question about any aspect of starting a business, being motivated, or you just want to say hello, you can shoot us an email at bossbarpod@gmail.com. And I'm really excited about this segment today because we have like 3 questions. I usually only get like 1 or 2, but I'm really excited to go through these. So the first question comes from the owner of a cupcake business. And she says, I'm really having trouble finding good staff for my company. The people I interview are all very charming with impressive resumes, and they know how to use my business lingo during the hiring process to impress me. However, once we bring them on, they're unable to follow through with their day-to-day responsibilities and make excuses. How can I fix them and also avoid hiring people like this in the future?
Fire them. That's how you fix it. Fire. Be quick to hire, but even quicker, if that's a word, to fire. How does Gary Vee? I was just listening to Gary Vee the other day on his social media. He's a great entrepreneur. I think everybody should follow. But he was saying firing. You fire individuals when you find. So this is what he said. He said hiring is guessing, firing is knowing. You know what I'm saying? So when you hire an individual, yes, they sound good, they look good, they smell good. In the interview, of course, someone is going to present their best foot first, right? Forward or whatever. So you hire them, right? Because you're guessing, okay, this might be the right person for the fit, right? For the job. But when you find out that they're not, fire them. So that's why he says hiring is guessing, firing is knowing. So now you know that this person is not the right fit. Be quick to fire them. Don't say, man, I hired this person. If I fire them, my team will think that I'm a dummy. But no, it doesn't matter. Fire them. Just fire them. So I try to in the beginning of my business, I actually took up this principle where I just fired when I felt like someone wasn't the right fit. Since then, I kind of moved into the nicer guy type category, but I'm trying to get myself back into that form of hire when you think it's a good idea, but fire when you know that the person doesn't it's not working out.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And then I think like during the interview process, maybe you may want to think about better questions that you can ask. If it's possible, maybe you could bring, more people, have a squad with you to interview. Maybe you can set up an interview panel, or even like have a shadow day so that they come and they're shadowing somebody or actually doing the work. You can see them in the field before you actually decide to hire them. If you can build that in, I think those are kind of like some ways that you can try your best on the outset to avoid getting these types of people.
Yeah, people have gotten very, very smart. People know how to pass the test. Because, I mean, think about it. We're in school, and what we're required to do is pass tests. So people sometimes cram stuff, study, pass it, but they don't really know anything. People do the same thing with interviews, and you know, they'll do what they need to do to get the job. But then after they've gotten the job, they might not be able to carry out the job and do what they need to do in order to stay at the job. So sometimes you might put all these booby traps and then they get over it. But when you know that someone is not the right fit, what you need to do is just go ahead and release them to their better future.
Yeah, understand there's some things that only Jesus can fix. You got to let them go.
And sometimes Jesus can't even fix it.
Right, and it does not need to be your problem. So
right.
This next question comes from Deborah from Detroit, who is the owner of a nonprofit, or she has her own nonprofit called Lead the Way, which gives back to youth in the city. And her question is, what made you keep going through all your ups and downs? What kept you strong?
Deborah from Detroit. Good question. I think the thing that keeps me going is because I have the bigger picture in mind, you know, and I understand that this is part of the process. Almost like when you're putting a jigsaw puzzle together, like, you know, you have an idea what the total picture is. So when you are putting together a certain part of the jigsaw puzzle and you draw a blank, you go to another part of it and keep working on it because you understand, okay, I need to get to this eventual picture. So for me, I have an eventual picture in my mind of how I would want my life to be, what type of impact I want to make, and that's what I just focused on, you know, because I can't be distracted by the everyday challenges, the everyday struggles. I just tell myself you can't be because otherwise you go crazy. So I have the eventual. What keeps me going is the bigger picture.
Yeah, I definitely agree, Deborah. When you feel down or discouraged, go back to your dream. Go to your why. Like, what made you want to start your nonprofit in the first place? What was the problem that you were trying to solve? And then think about, you know, what your dream was to fix. And imagine if you never did what you're supposed to do. Think about that. And I also would say examine your squad and the people that you have around you. Are they empowering and encouraging you? Are they pouring into you? Are you, you know, hanging out with people that are on the same, headed in the same direction as you? Because I know one thing, if two people are walking in the same direction, one of two things will happen. Either you're going to slow down to match their pace, or they're going to speed up to catch yours. So make sure that you're in good company and you have good people around you, you know?
Right, definitely. Yep. And always be open for new friends. I know Drake said no new friends, but always be open for new friends.
Yeah, you can't you know, it's a catchy song, but you can't always rely on rap lyrics to help you, give you advice on life.
Right.
Our last question comes from Lacey, who is just a listener and a follower of the podcast. And her simple question is, how did you do it?
I mean, the how is very, very simple. I think maybe her question is should be focused on why. But how I did it, I provided services to individuals or companies or organizations that need the services, and they paid me for it. That's the how.
Very simple.
Right. And you know, I mean, I think for her, I guess, I mean, I don't want to, you know, answer or ask what she didn't ask, but I think maybe where she was headed to is like why. And I think we answered that. Like, you have the why is the bigger picture. Is what type of lifestyle do you want? What do you want to accomplish? What type of impact do you want to leave on this world? What type of legacy do you want to leave? You know, so that's why I do it. I do it for the bigger picture.
Yeah. I think, and it just kind of just goes back to what you said of just doing it. How did you do it? I did it. Like, and you learn as you go, but to get started, to actually do things, you have to, and it sounds really redundant And some people may think it's kind of sarcastic to say, but it's really the truth. How you do things is that you do them, you know?
Yep. You start.
You won't learn how to ride a bike if you don't get on the bike and try to ride it. You might fall a couple of times, but eventually you're going to keep going. It's going to be great.
Right. And it's not even that you might fall. You will fall.
Yeah. And you should expect it.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just about time for us to wrap up the show. But before we go, can you please just give us some information? Tell us, how can we get in touch with you if some of my listeners want to, book some of your staffing locations or your office space? Maybe they want to hire you to be a motivational speaker. Tell us all the, your social medias and all the information on how we can get in touch.
Right. So the fact of the matter is that I want to connect with everybody. I want to know you. One of the guys that I listen to, he says, people don't owe you unless they know you, or people can't flow you unless they know you. So yes, I want to know you. Get on my Instagram. Follow me at Chiko the Dream Chaser, and then once you follow me, and get to learn about me, I want to do business with you. I want us to figure out a way for us to continue to create value for the customers that I serve and the customers that you serve or you want to serve. But let's do business together. That's what this is all about. Let's create value. Follow me on social media, Instagram, on Facebook. I'm on what else? I'm on everything. So just and let's connect. Let's do business together. Okay.
Yeah, that's really great. Your website is perfectofficellc.com.
Yep, so perfectofficellc.com for the office-based company. For the staffing company, perfectstaffingllc.com. And then for the property management company, myperfectproperty.co. So if you're looking for staff or having problems or issues with staff, and we can help you with that with Perfect Staffing. And if you're looking for affordable office spaces, we can help you with that at Perfect Office. And then if you're looking for somebody to manage your property, we got you at Perfect Property. So reach out to me. Let's do business.
Awesome. Now, this is the final question I ask everybody that comes on the show, and I know you're super humble, but I want to ask you, what makes you a boss?
What makes me a boss? You want the technical answer, or do you want I
want the unabridged version. Just answer.
I think what makes me a boss is that technically I have individuals that I pay. That makes me a boss. Second of all, what makes me a boss is that I know where I'm headed, and I am not going to stop until I get there. So I think that's what makes me a boss.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show, Chiko. Once again, if you guys want to follow him, he does really inspirational IG stories. The first thing in the morning on elevators. You can follow him on Instagram at Chiko the Dream Chaser, and you can get more information about all of his wonderful businesses that he has. Check out perfectofficellc.com. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will catch you guys next time on the Boss Bar Podcast. You've been listening to the Boss Bar Podcast, brought to you by Boss Up Magazine. Tune in each and every Thursday for an intimate conversation between emerging entrepreneurs and successful business owners. If you would like to have your business featured on the show, or have a question you would like to ask the bosses, send us an email at bossbarpod@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week at the Boss Bar.